Hi guys, Tony here from Tony Reviews. This week we're going to take a look at how to make these neat shaker style upper cabinet doors. So if you want to know more, let's roll the B-roll and I'll show you how. Right, so I've put the cupboards up temporarily, like they're just sitting up. This is all in undercoat still, got to be painted. But this cabinet is obviously, you know, it's handmade, it's not completely square. There is a little bit of a bow in it, you know, it don't sit straight completely. Now I'm running shaker style cupboards, so, you know, as we know with shaker style, you've got lines that run across and down. Once you start putting grids on things that are not square, it's going to be very obvious to the eye that it's not square. So I'm doing my best to get around this. So what I'm attempting to do, or what I think it might be a way to sort of get the best result that I possibly can, that I know of anyway, is, which may not be the right way, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So I've cut my strips that I'm going to use for my shaker style outer, and what I thought was the best thing to do is if I run one long piece and get it as straight as I can, like looking, and I run a pencil line on the cupboards, I can then take the cupboards off, set these on as they are, and then put the cupboards back on. So that's the way that I'm sort of thinking I might be able to do it, is run one long piece so that to the eye you're seeing a straight, you know, a straight line. So that's how I'm going to do it, so we'll see if it works out straight or not. So what we're about to do now is cut up some lengths of 8x4 sheets of 9mm ply that I've pre-painted. I'm just going to cut them up into 7cm wide strips to make the shaker style outer for the cupboards that I've made. This is something I want to show you with regards to the edging, routering the edges. Now I'd originally made my strips, my 7cm wide strips for the outer style, shaker style cupboard detailing from this 9mm ply, and then I routed the edge so that you've got this sort of, you know, this sort of profile like this. But as you can see, the edges, because the ply is obviously layers, the edges can become very bitted and chipped, and so what I done was sanded all these. They would also probably need filling or caulking or something like that to get rid of this, but it's such a big problem using the ply. What I decided to do was buy a few sheets of MDF, which I've just routed to make the outer style shaker plinthy bits from. As you can see, the finish on the MDF is much smoother. There's no chips or things because obviously it's a fibre board. I wouldn't use this as the structural piece of the cupboard. The cupboards are still made out of 9mm ply. This is just a decorative piece. But as you can see, the decoration using ply is just too much hard work, and it just doesn't do the job. So I recut all of those boards using the MDF, but I won't bore you with that. We'll just get on to the next stage, which is making the cupboards. So I've spent the weekend painting and prepping my cupboards. They're still slightly, they could do with a little bit more drying. So these are the cupboards, and these are the hinges that I'm using. They're easy fit hinges, and they've just got literally 2 positions. They just do that, like flip down, flip up. Once you've got the weight of the door on there, the closing's a lot better than that. You know what it's like when you've just got a hinge on its own. So these are, I dry fitted them first. So I dry fitted the cupboards because, like I mentioned, these cupboards are not exactly completely square. So put in a grid pattern like this, you know, shaker style grid. If any of these panels are slightly skinnier or slightly off, you're really going to notice it because the lines are going to run. So what I did was line them up first, cut the board, so this part of the board, to fit the cupboard. Then I put my plinth pieces, like the shaker style pieces, on that afterwards, and lined them up on the board as straight as I could. So I'm hoping that when it comes to fitting them, they're going to line up, because I dry fitted them first and run a fake line, if you like, and use that as the guide. You'll see in the video if it's not making sense with me describing it. But I've just got to see which one's which, because yeah, that is meant for this one. Now I'm using an offcut of 9mm ply to sort of act as a spacer. So what I'm going to do is use that as my spacer, then I'm going to screw this one in, and then I'm going to move that spacer across and screw the second one in. Then I'm going to line that up. I've already made some lines on here, so I know where the edge of this should line up to. Right, so let's give you a little bit of a closer look at these cabinet doors. Now, these are the easy fit hinges that I spoke to you about and showed you from Screwfix. I think they're like $3.50 or $3.49 for a pair. So they're slightly cheaper than the concealed hinges that I've used on the lower cabinets, and there's a separate video on that, and I'll show you how to do the lower cabinet doors with concealed hinges. The good thing about these is the fact that the little spring struts that you've got inside these hinges mean that they naturally keep the weight of this door elevated, so it reduces the need for me to have to put additional hardware in, like a gas strut, to keep the door open. So that's another little great feature of these. The other great feature is, of course, they are easy fit, so they're a lot easier to fit than the concealed hinge, although the amount of movement that you've got to get things right is less than with a concealed hinge. You've got left, right, up, down, back, forward sort of movements, micro adjustments with a concealed hinge, whereas these, you do have a minor sort of amount of adjustment, but not as much. The second thing that I've put in are these little sprung loaded gas struts that I bought off eBay. I think I bought like 20 of them for, I don't know, £5 or something. They're not very expensive, but because these cupboards are so sprung, they do, or they can, I mean, I don't really want to do it, but I'll show you, they can slam shut. So that just reduces the amount of slam that you get. But, I mean, if you're careful with your cupboards, if you've made these things by hand, you're not going to let them slam shut. The next little thing that I've done to reduce vibration in the van is I've put these tiny little rubber stoppers on each of the corners, and that just again stops them vibrating or jangling around. These hinges have been absolutely great. They've not once flown open, not once opened on their own or moved around or done anything. They're absolutely brilliant. So I'm really glad that I've installed these concealed hinges for the tops. I think they've worked a treat. It's probably saved me a bit as well because I haven't had to buy, like I said, the extra hardware in putting gas struts in. So I would highly recommend these hinges. I think they do a fantastic job. So I hope you found this week's video helpful. Like I mentioned, there is going to be a separate video for the bottom cupboards, just because the bottom cupboards use different hinges and it's a slightly different way of fitting them. Well, it is a different way of fitting them, so I'll do a separate video on that, but I just wanted to show you the upper cabinet doors with those hinges. So I really do hope you found it useful, helpful and insightful. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, click the little link below, and if you click the bell icon, that will ensure that you're up to date with the latest releases when I put a new video out. If you haven't yet been to the Let Us Live website, go to www.letuslive.co.uk. It is a website that is inspired by motorcycles and adventure. If you're into any of those things, there's definitely going to be something there that you're going to love, and if you put Tony Reviews in a checkout, you get a little discount there as well. So all that's left for me to say is, until next time, safe riding, safe driving, happy adventures, and I'll see you all in the next one.